the Bowels of Netflix, where your fearless co-hosts Isaac and Larry force each other to watch the worst pieces of shit on Netflix. We will go over every bad edit, all the broken dialogue, all the wooden acting, and laugh along the way, because this is the Bowels of Netflix!
Alright, and welcome to the Bowels of Netflix. I am Isaac, and with me as always is my fearless co-host Larry. How are you doing this week, Larry?
So I decided that I decided by basically May of the fucking year that what I'm gonna do with my year. And what I want to do with my year is I want to win a contest. A contest that involves some manner of skill. So not just like calling in a radio station and winning, being the seventh call or something stupid like that. Kids, radios are a thing that used to play music before iPods existed. So I wanna win a contest of some kind. And currently the only thing I've got is the Scientologists, I'm not kidding, hold a quarterly writing contest that I'm going to try and enter. But I'm looking for contest ideas. This sounds like a bit, but it's not. I've decided my year halfway through. I spent the first half just off, like the dog sleeps all day. I've decided to spend my year winning a contest.
Now, when you say it has to involve skill, where does like a swimsuit competition fall?
Considering that I'm currently the fattest I've ever been, technically I think that counts.
Okay.
Because it would require a lot. I just don't think I could do that in a year.
Yeah.
Half a year.
I mean, do they have reverse swimsuit contests?
Like a snowsuit contest?
No. Like where it's the Razzies, where it's like, oh, the worst person in a swimsuit.
I have a solid chance of that. Oh man,
we got to look into it.
Oh god, I'm a very sad man. Do the opening. Oh shit.
We are your favorite
Sorry,
contest
Mama,
winners.
I'm sorry.
We're two old friends, hate each other terribly. We make each other watch awful movies and give you all the juice, all the hot juice straight from our mouths. You should find us on Facebook, Twitter, Bowels of Netflix. We're the only one in your life. Send us an email, bowelsofnetflix@gmail.com. As I'm saying that, I'm going to double check the email to see if we got any.
God damn it. Yeah, I should have done that too, huh?
I looked at it not too long ago.
I checked it, I think, on Monday.
We got a Google security alert. All right, let's read that on air.
Yeah, I replied to that, by the way. You're welcome. I saw that, and I'm looking at it, and it said, Isaac's phone is trying to access your account, and I hovered over the report button, but...
But yeah, please send us an email, especially if you're a bot. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Make sure to rate, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, hide your grandmother's medication until she listens to the show.
Can now be found on Apple Podcasts. Thank you, Isaac, for doing all the hard work and fixing that. It sounded like a nightmare, but apparently we weren't being listed there properly. So if you have friends who couldn't listen to us because of Apple, please tell them.
I didn't do any hard work. Instead, just kept complaining to Apple and Libsyn over and over again until it miraculously started working.
I just saw this through emails. I just sat quietly at my desk at work just seeing emails with both supports seemingly blaming the other for sucking.
Yep.
And I'm just this does not seem like it would require the opinion of a moron, so I'm just going to sit quietly and hope Isaac fixes it.
Well, don't give me credit for fixing it. But it's fixed, and we're on Apple. So
yes,
there we go.
As well as anywhere else fine podcasts are sold. But that was
if you want to find us on a place that we don't podcast on, let us know, because we might be able to set that up.
Yeah, no, that's a real thing. Genuinely, we make a lot of jokes, but if we're not somewhere you want us to be, let us know. We'll figure it out. Summer steak is coming. We're gonna do a lot. We're gonna take cocaine and come at each other's asses. Nope, that's not right. We're gonna make the show good. That sounds good, right? Yep, good, great. Okay, I got this. Boy, why did they hire me to be a pitch man? I'm not good at this at all. Oh no, my inner monologue has become outer monologue.
I think the better idea is that you come in my mouth, I snowball it into your ass.
This is awful. This show was. I pitched this to Amazon as rated G.
Oh, well.
This is going to be turned into a TV show, right? Well,
yes.
I don't know where this joke is going, so I'm abandoning joke immediately.
Mr. Rogers 2.0, as I have a stroke trying to get that joke out.
It's a beautiful day in the Bowserhood. Christ,
what's better than a nice warm anus?
Nothing.
Year one, probably.
It's funny you talk about the anus, because the anus is very much in play in the movie Year One.
Interesting.
Oh, God. Year One, 2009, adventure comedy film directed by Harold Ramis.
One of his last movies, too.
It was his last movie. Written,
really?
Produced... Wikipedia says written, produced, and starring Harold Ramis. Harold Ramis is in this movie for like 4 minutes at best. Yeah. He is not the star. But yeah, it was his last movie. Which, oh God, that makes me so sad. You have no idea how sad that makes me. This man... He made Ghostbusters. He was Egon in Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is like one of my favorite movies.
And I think he was partially or completely responsible for the script of Groundhog Day.
Yes, he was, which is also one of my favorite. They're in very close contention.
Yeah, he has a lot of other very good movies, especially as a writer.
Caddyshack, National Lampoon's Vacation, Stripes. I think he acted in Stripes. I don't know if he wrote Stripes, but he is so good. Oh,
he's a heavy hitter, all right.
This is... He died at age 69, too, which, first of all, hilarious.
All right. Yeah.
But, yeah.
Get it, Harold.
I think he did. I think he got it a lot.
Probably.
But, yeah, a very, very talented man. This is a strange one.
You can't win all the time.
No. But this movie, this is... More than anything, I'm confused. I'm confused about many things about this whole movie. Not the angriest I've ever been by any stretch of the imagination. I'm really not even that mad. I'm mostly just irritated. But this is... I mean, to start, it was produced by Judd Apatow's production company. So, two big names right there. He's an enormous name, and his company's enormous, and then Harold Ramis on top of it. And then, I mean, we'll get into it in depth when we get to the review itself, but I think this movie has only... good actors in it, except for Michael Cera and Jack Black.
Hey, and Michael Cera is the star of a generation, Larry.
Michael Cera is a talentless hack. But, and this is gonna blow your mind. I can't believe I'm living in a world where Michael Cera is not the worst part of this movie.
Ouch.
By far.
Is this just because of your hatred of Jack Black?
If you had asked me before I watched this movie, who are you going to hate the most? I would have said Michael Cera. Easy, you're an idiot. Why would you ask me such a stupid question, Isaac? What is your problem, you dunce? But, like, I don't know, man. It's not really that bad. Comparatively. Jack Black's way worse. And Michael Cera's kind of tolerable. And
that's so strange coming from you.
That is very strange. It's strange to have the words come out of my mouth hole. But anyway, before we get too much farther into it, because we will, this is a 4.9 out of 10 on IMDb, so tiny bit under the curve, but still pretty close to the middle, which is about normal. It is a 14% on the tomato meter. Pretty low. Yeah, and a 23% audience score, also pretty low.
Not forgiving.
Not a liked movie. Not a liked movie by any stretch. Of course, the Google reviews, as always, will provide us with something. And I didn't. Unfortunately, they slipped my mind because I finished this review not long ago. So by not long, I mean like 20 minutes ago. So not that it kind of a hectic week for me. I didn't get a chance to really dig through them like I like to because honestly, just fucking Google reviews are fascinating. But the one I wanted to bring up is by M. Moore Poll, which.
It sounds like a fake name.
It's MOORE-POHL, but now that I say it out loud, you might be right. But it's 5 stars, 11 months ago. This movie, again, was made in 2009, so this is someone just watched this recently. My 3 boys and I have watched this movie 100 times.
What?
Is one of my all-time favorite silly comedies. Think Ace Ventura.
Oh,
Jack Black is hilarious. And the Cain and Abel, Cain spelled wrong, fight scene could be one of the best yet. Keep that in mind as we talk about Cain and Abel. It baffles me that this movie didn't have higher ratings. Everyone that we watched this movie with laughs hysterically. This is by far one of my favorite silly comedies. Fantastic cast too, and I'll give them that one because we're going to talk about the cast. It is it's strange. It's very strange what's happened here. But I digress. So like we said, bad on Rotten Tomatoes, middle of the road, IMDb, basic stuff, normal stuff there. So the best way to tackle this fucking beast is we're just going to get into it. We're not going to mince any dicks. We're just going to jump right in.
Mince dicks?
Mince dicks. So we open up on a group of cavemen hunting a boar through what appears to be the woods right outside of my hometown in bumfuck PA, population 200. Does not look
205. Didn't you hear the census update?
Oh, 5 babies born, huh? How many? Well, what's the code? I don't care. This joke is going
5
on.
children kidnapped and brought into the town.
Oh, I see.
Gotta count them too.
Yeah. How do you count a kidnapped child on a census?
Well, they come to your door and they pretty much just ask you how many people are in the house. And then you're like, what counts as a person? But you can pretty much just say what you want. So you could report the stolen children that I have in my basement, and I wouldn't get in trouble.
Regular John Wayne Gacy you are.
I guess they'd have to be alive.
Well, I guess you said basement, not crawl space. So the group
how many people are in the house? Living or dead, sir?
As a census taker legally has to assume that question is above board. It's just part of the rules. I census took for 20 years. As the group of cavemen close in on the boar and are about to slay it, suddenly a spear comes out of nowhere and plugs one of the cavemen in the back. And lo, because the penance for my sins was not yet reached, Jack Black blunders onto screen like Bigfoot doing stand-up. Black does a whole little back and forth bit about it not being his spear and celebrating the boar they didn't kill. By the way, this is one of those movies. It's the one where there's so many fucking constant Jack Black gags, I can't review them all. And you know me, I would love to talk about every line of this movie and pick Jack Black to pieces like a vulture picking out a corpse his corpse in the desert if I could get that lucky. But there's just not the time for that sort of thing. And there's just so many, I can't bring them all up. I hope you wanted a short episode because you got it, mister. Because Jack Black, if you're not familiar with him, he's just like one of those comedians who was big in the early aughts and then kind of dropped off and just did like Kids' Choice Awards, and I don't know what else he does, and I don't care. Probably just plays music.
He's got a TikTok now, Larry. It's pretty great.
Of course he does. Of course he does.
He's usually shirtless running around his giant mansion in LA.
Yeah, that's what the bit I've seen of it. He's just one of those like eccentric comedians, but not like Jared Leto eccentric, like I don't know, Bill Murray eccentric, but like the palest shadow Bill Murray has ever cast.
Yeah, I would say not quite as pale as you say.
I don't know. His comedy just annoys me. He's not terrible, and like I can tell that he's sincere and he's good at it if you like that sort of thing. This may come as a shock to you. I don't like that sort of thing. So he's not for me, and he's got that like sort of high energy, like, oh, awesome bro kind of. He's got like awesome bro energy.
Larry, you're definitely high energy, awesome bro type personality.
I am human slime and will demand to be treated as such. So anyway, his bit gets old fast. Our lead caveman berates Black for being the worst caveman in the tribe. Lead caveman is like a 7-foot-tall brick shithouse of a man. I'm going to call him the Great Khali. If you know, you get what I'm talking about immediately. If you don't, you're much better off. I'm sorry. That is Hall of Famer Great Khali.
Yes.
Chihuahua.
Flipped your mind, huh?
Well, it's pretty new and somewhat confusing. He killed a man.
Do his knees bend?
No. I don't think they ever have been. He accidentally killed a man. But still can't get over that one. So the Great Khali breaks Black's spear, and when Black is sassy about it, they manhandle him back to the rest of the tribe and smack him around a little bit before we cut to the village, which really is just a hill the cavemen are kind of squatting in. Great Khali walks past a group of gatherers, and we see that this entire caveman society is based around precisely one concept, that of hunter-gatherers. The basic concept here is that early in society, this is a real thing, the tribe will be split into the world's earliest class system. The hunters are the big, strong warrior men who impress with their ability to track and kill animals for meat, while gatherers are generally women, and Michael Cera in this case, because what else would he be? So Michael Cera's picking strawberries and talking to the strawberries, like, "No, you're too good for the basket. I'm just going to eat you up." I'm giving him a Kermit voice, but he's far less talented than Kermit the Frog. Great Khali walks by and knocks away Michael Cera's strawberry basket as Cera is annoyingly talking to himself while he picks berries. I already mentioned that. Good. Astonishingly, I don't think we've had Michael Cera in a movie yet up till now, though. I'm pretty sure I've talked about him every episode. And we also haven't had Jack Black either. Well,
we haven't had the luxury. Glad you got the twofer. And
in case you've been deaf until literally this very moment, I am not a fan of either Jack Black or Michael Cera. Cera, his whole bit, if you're not familiar with him, is just to be a quirky weirdo.
Yep.
That's basically his only role that he has ever chosen for. And I've already kind of been into Black, but he's just sort of that lame, nonstop sort of like, oh yeah, bro, that's awesome energy. Like, that's like, I to the surprise of nobody, that's not for me. His jokes don't land with me. But again, like, I can see why people like him, and I get that, like, yeah, he's the real deal, and he's, probably technically a good comedian. Michael Cera, I cannot give him credit. I just refuse. I cannot do it.
He's good at the one thing he knows how to do.
And it's a bad thing. It's not funny or interesting, and it's like, he's a meme now, too, just because he's always that, like, oh gosh, oh geez, I'm sorry. Like, that's his energy. If Jack Black is, yeah, bro, that's awesome, Michael Cera is, oh gosh, oh geez, I'm sorry. Now, all that said, Michael Cera is tolerable in this movie. There's a few things he says that irritate me, but this script really, like, it shreds his character down to just being sort of timid. He's barely even quirky. Not to Michael Cera levels, which is, if there was a meter of quirkiness, Michael Cera would be on that meter, probably at the end.
Right.
Like, Wes Anderson quirky. Bluth.
No, Wes Anderson's good quirky. Wes
Anderson can suck a dick. I'm sure he's technically great. I hate him so much. God damn it. I'm gonna never make friends. But yeah, so this role that Cera plays in this movie, the character's name is O, which I feel like was supposed to be a joke, but they never capitalized on it. It could have been played by a lot of different people. And I'll give him credit that despite hating him, like, Cera's niche is a unique one, I would say. Fairly unique.
Yes.
Like, he's a hard... if you wanted to cast Michael Cera, and he was like, sorry, I'm washing cars with a group of girls with, like, the cheerleading team that day, like, it would be hard to fill his shoes. I get... Even though I hate that, I get that. Like, he is good in his niche. If you like that sort of thing, like a fool... Isaac, for example.
Superbad is good.
So he's memorable. You're definitely getting the Michael Cera brand when you buy that particular product.
Absolutely.
But in this, like, a lot of people could play this role that he plays. Huh. He's just like the timid sidekick who finds his courage. Like, that's all it is. Like, my first thought of who could play this instead of him, Elijah Wood. This would be a role I could see Elijah Wood in, for example. Now, in fairness, I have been watching the extended edition of Lord of the Rings because I was recovering from the second vaccine shot and didn't do much over that weekend. So honestly, I got fucking Frodo on the brain. But like, thinking about it, you don't need Michael Cera in this spot, which is interesting as to why they picked him for it. Because I don't know, it's an odd choice because
this was the height of his star power too.
Yeah. This is post. I think at this point it was
Superbad was 2007.
Was he in Superbad? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. I've never seen Superbad. I do think I reference it later on in this, though. And this is post Arrested Development. I think it ended the first time by now. Because it started in 2003. Right. And Arrested Development, I would say that's his biggest role, probably. Arguably one of his, if not his biggest.
Definitely. I mean, it launched his career. Huge show, for sure.
Right. And I think he's, like, that's probably the best thing I've ever seen him in. You know, that character is memorable in that. It's just, you know.
When his awkwardness starts bleeding into his 20s is when it's like, no,
right, because he's supposed...
We don't like this anymore.
I don't know how old he is, like the actor, Michael Cera, is in Arrested Development, but the character he's playing is like, I think 16 or 17. Yeah. And that works for that. And that show is like the only quirky show I've actually ever liked because it's very quirky, but very funny and does it well. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So this was an interesting choice to have Michael Cera in this because, like, he doesn't bring anything special to it, which, like, at least if you get Michael Cera, he's going to be doing some Michael Cera shit, but he doesn't really do that here. So, I don't know. Like, he does fine, I guess, because, like, he's a solid actor, at least. Again, I understand my hatred for it is unique, but, like, I don't know. It was just odd. I expected different and didn't get it at all. But, like, I felt right in expecting that because it's Michael Cera. Like, that's what's on the tin. And Jack Black, he's the fucking same in everything. He's just, it's always, you're getting Jack Black. It's Jack Black. He never plays anything else.
Yeah.
He's like Ray Romano, which for some reason is always the example I go back to.
I'm glad his career ended.
Did it? He's probably very successful doing, like, selling insurance or something.
He had some Moose movie.
Yeah, Welcome to Mooseport. I remember seeing commercials for that on Cartoon Network, literally every commercial break.
Utter trash.
That was with some actor who's also really good. Some older actor.
Gene Hackman.
Yes, but no. Was it?
I think so.
Wait, Gene Hackman, that's not Willy Wonka, is it?
No, you're thinking of Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder. That's
Gene Hackman is different.
Okay, yeah, I got my genes mixed up. Okay, so Cera and Black talk to each other in the tribe. We see they're each other's only friends. Black asks if the great Khali and the other hunters were being mean, and he would straighten them out, attributing to himself much more presence and respect among the hunters than he actually has. To give you insight into what the endless barrage of Jack Black humor is like, Cera asked Black what happened to his spear that the great Khali kneed in half. To which Black replied, I made it a snub nose, better at killing. It's just basically that all the way down. And like, the worst part of it is, his patter isn't so horrible that it drives me to drink. It's like just irritating enough to be annoying. It's like your knock-knock jokes from last week. It wasn't enough to make me fucking enraged, but it's like, oh Christ, he's got another fucking joke. That's what it is with me and Black. It's a nothing burger. He'd be like a great politician if he like decided to stop doing comedy and become a politician. He'd be great at it because he just has the ability to ramble and say nothing that has no substance and isn't funny. But
I swear to God,
they're not
Jack Black
aggravating enough to ask him to leave.
If he ends up being president, I'm going to kill you over that.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at anything anymore after this last fucking 12 to 500 years of American politics.
Caitlyn Jenner is running for governor of California.
Yeah, I know.
She's so qualified to be a politician.
Speaking of murderers. Anyway, the two boys, I don't even have to say allegedly, that just is a thing that happened. Anyway, the two boys ogle their respective crushes among the cavemen. Black's crush is named Maya, played by June Diane Raphael. Sadly, I believe this is one of her most known movies, but she has had quite a bit of a career otherwise, including a Sundance film that got some praise. I don't really know anything about it, though, because I don't truck with that. Like we assuredly mentioned, this movie has a big cast, and I'm guessing it's because nobody can turn down Harold Ramis.
Right.
How could you possibly, if you, like, Harold Ramis has got a movie, he's got open auditions, how could you not, it's Harold, he made Ghostbusters. Everyone in this movie, who acted in this movie, probably grew up with Ghostbusters, because how could you not? I grew up with Ghostbusters, and it was made long before I was ever even a cum. So, like, it's, like, that is, I'm certain, because we'll get into it, this cast is bizarrely incredible, so, but, like I said, she has not had the most forward-facing career. However, she's married to Paul Scheer, who makes an appearance in the movie a little later. They co-host a podcast called How Did This Get Made?
I've listened to a lot of that.
Which is basically just famous people doing, our exact same show. And I've heard really good things about it, so that's interesting. And it also stars Jason Mantzoukas, who is like one of my weird celebrity crushes.
He's pretty great.
Not like romantically, like my crush on Neil Patrick Harris, which will be ever unrequited because he's married. But like Jason Mantzoukas, he tickles me in a way that nobody else does.
He's a funny man.
I love him as an actor. The energy he brings to every movie and show he is in, it brings him up by like half a point. If those of you listening have never heard of him or seen him, look up like a supercut of him in The Good Place. You'll see exactly what I mean. Just him standing there in a fucking tuxedo that's half on, holding a champagne flute full of Scrabble letters. Just, I fucking about died laughing from that.
And he plays Jay in Big Mouth, right?
Yes, he does. Yes.
Yeah, he's also in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's got he's not a main cast member, but he's got a recurring character that shows up like twice every season. Same
thing with Parks and Rec that they're also based on.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so anyway, yes, June Diane Raphael is Paul. Like I said, she's Paul Scheer's wife, and she's the kind of the host of that show, I believe, right?
Yeah, she co-hosts with Paul. Yeah.
Yes, and I really liked her in this for what it was. She's not a huge character in this for what it was worth, and I've wanted to listen to that for a while, and this is definitely pushing me over the edge to go do that now. So
yeah, they have good chemistry, and they have another podcast where they do like the top 100 movies ever made according to some list.
Yeah,
that I've listened to more than How Did This Get Made, because I don't like listening to bad movies when I'm not working.
Yeah, that's a funny statement. Consider, oh god, what have we done with our lives?
Oh man, we got to file our taxes for this year as a business.
Shit. All right, so yeah.
Can you deduct cum socks?
I've been doing it for years, so I sure hope so. Okay, so she and Jack Black talk a little bit where he hits on her and she admits she likes him well enough, but she needs a man who can protect and take care of her and is instead interested in the great Khali. They banter for a bit and we just more reinforce that Jack Black sucks at everything. And it's not his character, he does suck at everything, but his character in the movie is like a shiftless loser who, of course, has like very high opinion of himself, which is basically his whole bit. So... Where are we at here? Okay, a bit later on, we see the great Khali hitting on Maya by handing her the boar's head from the day's hunt. Meanwhile, Cera attempts to sheepishly flirt with his crush, Ema, who is played by Juno Temple. I don't really know how to describe her career, but it appears to be incredibly complex from what I see. Rotten Tomatoes describes her as drawn to, quote, complicated roles in dark material.
Oh.
I get the impression that a lot of the work she does is quirky horror stuff that's kind of fucked up and nothing I would ever want to watch, it sounds like.
Interesting.
This seems to be her most outlandish role from her usual material, which, boy, that's a fucking sentence and a half. Though, in fairness, this is pretty early in her acting career overall, as being known as like a professional actress. She's also in Dark Knight Rises, but besides that, in Year One, I've never seen anything she's been in. She and June's characters are both not in a whole lot of this movie, in order they contribute a lot to the plot. But because I'm going to bitch about Michael Cera and Jack Black for fucking ever, I decided to instead prop up and look at two kick-ass Hollywood women tearing it up as opposed to two fucking nobodies who should go away and stop acting now.
It was kind of like Knock Knock. The women actually did pretty good, and Keanu just fucking sucked it up like a sponge.
Yeah, exactly. Like I have nothing but praise for literally everyone else in this movie except for Michael Cera and Jack Black, who are fine, but like not good. Whereas everyone else is like fine and
what
okay.
your rating's going to be.
Yeah. So anyway, I would call them by their real names, like I'm going to call them Jack Black and Cera, but their names are June and Juno, and I can barely keep track of my own fucking name. So unfortunately, we're going to keep calling them their characters' names.
Yeah, wasn't Cera in a movie called Juno? Like,
yes.
I'm just getting confused.
Yes, he was.
Getting very confused.
I'm also I'm on page 3 of 10. And we are 6 minutes into the movie, because I am an insane human being.
You are unwell.
So
you need more cocaine.
I fucking need to start. Them nightmares. Ina totally ignores Michael Cera. Don't blame her. He's the worst. Black gives him some advice, mentioning that he fucked his mother on the way while giving this advice as the throwaway gag. That's great. And he tells Michael Cera that Cera has to do the fertility dance for Ina at the festival tonight, and then drag her back to his hut. Cera asks what happens if she doesn't want to go, and Black tells him to hit her over the head and drag her anyway because they're cavemen. I mean, that's definitely the trope, but, much like everything else, it doesn't hold up super well.
Yeah.
Then we get a mild sight gag of her suggestedly jerking off 2 spears as she says she only likes hunters and not gatherers. This is going great, Isaac. Thank you for this.
You're welcome.
So the two of them wander off. Oh, fucking hate you. Well, Black complains about how he hates how everyone treats him like he's an idiot, despite the fact that he's an idiot, and so he's going to do something about it. Isaac, what do you think that is?
Gonna start hunting?
No, that's right. He's going to go eat the forbidden fruit, like the fruit that's in the Bible. And to further reinforce that, Cera says the tree is the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which is the concept made most famous by the Bible, the Holy Bible. So
it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, Larry.
Don't even. A brief recap for those of you not familiar with the Bible. I envy you.
Women are the devil.
Yeah, Adam and Eve. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get Isaac. We'll get to that.
Man, if I could just get rid of them all, if it weren't for their pussies.
How? Boy, here's a transition. How's your wife?
She actually just won third place in a writing contest.
Yes, good for her.
Not the Scientology one that you're going to enter.
Yes, congratulations to her. Yeah, I will compete against her in the Scientology contest.
And she won $50, and I will take my cut. And
Now, are you technically her manager? Is that the title you decided to go with?
Pimp, I believe. Pimp.
I see. Do you put that on the forums, or
Business cards.
is the check made out to Pimpin'?
Dr. Pimpin, MD.
A medical doctor of Pimpin'.
No, Mucho Dicko. That's how I let the ladies know that I've got a big one.
He's like, Mucho Dicko early. That's Andale. Oh, Christ. So yeah, for those of you not familiar with the story of Adam and Eve, God created man, created Adam. We'll get to the part where he makes Eve, because I cannot believe that story is getting split in two in this fucking review. But yeah, so Adam and Eve, God created them. They were totally down to just be like his, pets in the zoo, which is the Garden of Eden. You laugh, but tell me I'm wrong. Yeah. And then there was this tree that gave you all basically what makes you a human, which is basically free will. They call it the knowledge of good and evil. The devil taunts Eve because she's an evil lady with a vagina. So of course she's easily tempted by the devil as a snake. And she eats the fruit, gives it to Adam, and they realize they're naked, and they just basically are like, oh no, we're separate from God now, and this is bad. And God is like, fuck you, get out of my fucking garden. And then he sends an angel with a flaming sword to guard it, and they come out and become gross, yucky humans like we all are now. Yucky. God doesn't love us as much. Yucky.
Thanks, women.
This is gonna be rough for our Christian listeners. It's year one, so maybe you should have skipped
Larry,
it.
I don't think we have Christian listeners.
That's you know what, Isaac, I'm gonna go on a limb and say it's probably for the best, for their sake.
We've scared them away.
That's for the best. So, yeah. So anyway, this fucking biblical tree is here in their caveman village. So Cera doesn't want Black to eat the fruit since it's against the rules, but Black is having none of it. He blathers on and on, claiming it's going to make him smart. He does admit the entire thing is only to end up sleeping with Maya overall anyway. But Black eats the apple and claims it's making him smarter, and he knows everything, but he obviously doesn't, because that would be stupid. In fact, it changes nothing at all. So even though this is the driving force of the entire movie that starts the whole pebble rolling downhill, it doesn't actually change anything at all at this point. Then a snake almost eats Cera. I suppose that's supposed to be the devil. It's never quite made clear. And unfortunately, it doesn't take. And we cut to the festival. We see the hunters and prospective mates doing sexually suggestive dances around the fire. Jack Black argues that life has to be better than this, while Cera says he's having pretty much all he can handle already. Black wants to go out and explore the world, and then he has like a 2-minute unfunny existential breakdown about the meaning of reality, but it actually goes nowhere and just wastes my time. Eventually, Black convinces Cera to go dance for Ina. He lamely convinces her to dance with him. As they're dancing around, Black gives him the hand motions to give Ina a swift smack over the back of the head with a club so he can drag her back to his hut and basically rape her. Of course, Cera hits her about as hard as Steven Seagal throws punches, so it barely hurts her, and she instead wallops him over the head a few times, and that's that. The Great Khali comes over, and one of his hunter goons apparently saw Black eat the forbidden fruit. By the way, I learned right at the end of this movie that hunter goon is played by Horatio Sands, which is one of those actors who's kind of in and out of everything. You probably know him, but he's barely in this.
He was an SNL alum. I think I saw him live at UCB in New York once. Him and Rob Riggle.
UCB in New York? Huh.
Yeah, I went there once when my brother was living there. But yeah, we saw Rob Riggle and Horatio Sands. Cool. I think those were the biggest names, but it was cool.
Yeah, he's barely, I didn't realize it was him, and he's barely in this movie. So I'm just kind of mentioning it because I saw it at the end. Oh, that was Horatio Sands, I see. Because he's, not a character. The Great Khali is more of a character, and that's just, a former linebacker or something. So they saw him eating the fruit, so he gets knocked out and taken to see the shaman. The shaman is painted head to toe in some traditional paint of some kind and wearing what I believe history will now know as QAnon insurrectionist furs. The shaman is played by Bill Hader, a guy you definitely know.
I love him.
And the problem here is that this is more or less blackface that he's in. So I'm just going to kind of not comment on this whole scene, which is a pity because I quite like Bill Hader, but this is an awful, awful look. So yeah, I'm not doing it.
He's good in everything else.
I like him. Again, we're going to stop and talk about actors more than this entire podcast combined. It's fucking wild. So strap in for that. Jack Black gets banished from the tribe. Black has an unfunny speech as he leaves and accidentally sets the village on fire and gets run out by the Great Khali in hot pursuit. Some dumb hunting scenes follow here. He's comedically chased away. He tries to hide, pretend to be a plant. Great Khali's about to murder him. Cera shows up and bonks Khali over the head with a brain chop. Sorry, by that I mean a log. I got wrestling on the brain. Black tells Cera he should bonk Ina over the head that hard. Sticking to that joke, huh? Great. Black is overjoyed that Cera is choosing to come with, but Cera mentions he's only coming with because the fire Black started literally burned down everything Cera owns and cares about, so there's nothing to go home to anyway. The two bicker a little bit as they're leaving, and eventually Black assuages Cera's fears by hyping up Cera's intelligence and how great their journey is going to be. Then a cougar attacks Cera while Black runs away, but the next scene, Cera is totally fine, like nothing happened, so I guess really nothing happened. I'm tired of looking at Michael Cera's pasty white legs. This whole movie is like that. It's just fucking, it's just scenes that drag on with these two. Like, these two are not funny together. Like, I'm willing to admit they're good enough actors to, like, be good. They don't, it's like, I don't know, it's all wrong. Like, they don't fit together. And, like, the roles, I don't know, it just seems like they're both adjacent to what they should be playing.
Yeah. I think that's a kind of thing that goes wrong when you sleep with your co-star. Like, the chemistry just gets awkward.
Oh, God. Oh, jeez. Oh, man, I'm turning to Michael Cera thinking about that.
Who's the bottom?
I don't want to know. I don't want to think about it. The next day, and more dumb banter later that goes that goes nowhere. Eventually, they reach the spot where their customs dictate the edge of the world is, which is beyond some mountains. They get to the top and see that the world does indeed go on. Who could have guessed it? They start exploring the new world, air quotes. Eventually, they come across some human shit, which Black proceeds to eat to determine who and what laid said shit. I hated it, and I did not watch it a second time, so I hope you have no follow-up questions because I skipped past it and will refuse to answer. Eventually, they come across some cows. It's in this scene I see that Cera is, in fact, covered in cougar scratch marks, so I guess there was, 2 minutes of lasting consequence of that, even though it never gets talked about again. These dumbasses have never seen cows before, so Black tries to shoot and tackle one, but gets bucked off. A pair of brothers come over. These brothers are named Cain and Abel.
Of course.
Again, for those of you who aren't aware of the biblical story, Cain and Abel were the sons of Adam and Eve, who I just mentioned in the last biblical cutaway. Cain was a farmer and Abel was a herdsman. They both made sacrifices to the Lord. Abel sacrificed sheep and Cain sacrificed grain. God looked upon Abel with more favor because I guess he's just kind of like that and he does not love his children equally. And Cain gets pissed off, I'm going to say rightfully, and murders Abel and becoming he's the world's first murderer. And in some wackier versions of the Bible and biblical texts, boy, I am treading on some fucking scary ground here. He gets marked with a mark that makes him live for eternity, to live with the shame of what he's done, and in some lore becomes the world's first vampire, which, odd twist.
Oh, Lord Almighty.
But yeah, anyway, so that's the story of these two brothers in the Bible, which is probably their most famous location of story. At some point, some of you may have some questions about when exactly this movie is taking place. What would your guess be? Year one. Seems you'd think that, right?
Yeah. It's called Year One.
You'll be surprised to learn the answer. But we'll get to that.
I'm already angry. There's too many people. If there's all these other people, for Cain and Abel to be running around.
Oh, Isaac. Au contraire, monsieur. We have only just begun. Continuing the red carpet of actors this film has secured, Abel is played by a very young Paul Rudd, whom you may know as Ant-Man. And Cain is played by David Cross, who was also in Arrested Development alongside Michael Cera. Is an amazing, incredibly funny man. Seriously, he is just fantastic.
He's dynamite. His stand-up especially is brutal.
He is so fucking good. I love that man. He's an excellent actor. So you'll understand that it brings me no joy to say that he did absolutely nothing for me in this movie. Nothing at all.
He can't win all the time.
He had no scenes I like. Much like Cera, his talents just seem wasted here. And this is a far, far bigger crime because Cross is fucking hilarious. You'd think, considering the fact, too, that he and Cera at this point had been working together for years on Arrested Development. They're both main characters. They'd been working together for a long time. You'd think they'd play off each other well, but, no, they're just like any other set of actors. There's no interplay between them that would seem like, oh, these are two guys who know each other. I don't know. It just doesn't work. Cross didn't make me laugh at all in this movie, and that makes me very sad.
That's surprising.
So like I said, Ant-Man is Abel and David Cross is Cain. The two begin arguing immediately because their whole story is one of, fratricide. And this was fine. Paul Rudd and David Cross are fine actors, and their banter is perfectly passable. But there's nothing. Isaac, there's nothing. It's just noise. They rehashed
no meat on the bone.
They rehashed their whole story that I just gave you in 2 minutes, and then eventually Cain kills Abel. Abel, like, keeps getting back up after Cain is crying about what he did, and then Cain bashes him again with the rock. Like, Cain is like, oh no, I've killed my brother. And then Abel's like, oh no, I'm fine. And Cain hits him over the head with the rock a couple of times, and then he's like, oh, my brother. And then Abel's like, well, I'm still alive. And, so... Yeah. Right.
That's no good.
Cera and Black... Ant-Man's dead, so thank God. Cera and Black try to extricate themselves from the situation, but Cain gets in their face and threatens them, telling them they need to stick around to help keep a secret as they're now accessories to the world's first murder. Not the world's first murder, but, we'll get to that. Like I said, what is the timeline of this movie? Only time will tell. Get what I did there? I made a time joke. So, oh, Christ. So they sort of agree to go with him under threat of death and accept his arm-twisting offer to come to his place for dinner. They ride in Cain's cart on the way back, which is going like 4 miles an hour. But, of course, they'd never seen wheels before because they're cavemen, so this is a new experience they have to flip out about. Once they get to the farming village, we get blessed, I'm going to call it blessed, #blessed, to see both of them throwing up from going too fast. And it...
Lovely.
It rules, man. All right, so in Cain's house, Jesus Christ, we see he has a hot sister. His hot sister's named Lilith. For those of you with any biblical knowledge, you may be confused as to what the fuck is going on with the plot, but we'll get to it later, maybe. The quote-unquote biblical Lilith, and that is a landmine of a sentence to anyone anywhere familiar with the Bible. Lilith is a debated figure based on which ancient text you believe, but from what I've gathered, the story is more or less accepted as a parable of some sort or satirical in nature. The basic details are in the satirical Bible story, and when I say satirical, I'm talking like 3-digit AD satirical, not like Saturday Night Live satirical, like ancient satire. So the basic story is that Lilith is formed of the same clay of the earth that created Adam. Adam then literally immediately said that he was better than her and she must lie beneath him. She said, fuck that, we're the same clay and therefore equal, and he said the fancy smanchy equivalent of nuh-uh. So she said, screw you and your small dick, and literally flew away from the Garden of Eden.
That's pretty cool.
Adam bitched to God that his wife was too strong, so God made Eve from Adam's rib so that she was definitely subservient to him.
Thank God for that.
Lilith, meanwhile, literally flew to the devil and fucked him and became a demon. And eventually God and her are going to do some kind of tiff, and then she births some demons, blah, blah, blah. The story gets kind of muddy and branches off depending on the text here. But eventually it usually ends with 100 of her children getting murdered every day for the glory of God or some shit.
Jesus.
So you see what happens. You don't become subservient to the literal first man you see. You're going to become a demon, and God is going to kill your babies just to teach you a lesson. Or whatever.
Darn tootin'.
Except in this version, year one is just a lesbian who won't fuck Jack Black, and he doesn't know what a lesbian is, so I really don't know why I told you that story.
This is so weird. What is happening?
Well, in this version, Lilith is his daughter instead of his first wild ex-wife. Air quotes to ex-wife there, but you get what I mean.
I guess. Why use that name? I don't know.
The rest of the scene is them at Cain's house, which was completely unfunny and unnecessary. Cain denies killing Abel. Jack Black is expected to fuck Lilith, but like I said, she's a lesbian. Cera ends up with the dumb son Seth, who just annoys him all night and talks about his feet. I hate this movie. I hate it. Oh, by the way, Harold Ramis here is playing Adam of the biblical Adam and Eve.
Okay.
Apparently, Eve is there too, according to casting, but she has literally no lines, and I couldn't pick her out of the lineup at the table, so I guess she's just as important as she is in Lily's story, huh? Mama! All right.
Lord almighty.
So next day, Black and Cera are about to head out of the village, and Cain strong-arms them into coming with him as he expects the villagers to find Adam's corpse, so he needs a pair of scapegoats. We get a very, very, very funny cart chase scene, which is so super funny, because the carts are slow, Isaac. Isaac, do you get it? Do you get the joke, Isaac? The carts are slow, so they have a slow cart chase scene while the guy is walking by faster than the carts because the carts are slow. And they're having a scene where they're chasing like it's a real chase, like it's a cart chase, but the carts are slow. Isaac, don't you see how funny that is?
That's genius.
I'm glad you get it. So eventually the slower cart stops chasing them, and Cain gets struck with a bolt of lightning as he shouts back to his dad mockingly, "Who's in God's favor now?" And like I mentioned, the mark of Cain is a thing. I'm tired of explaining the Bible and associated events and errata, so just look it up. Actually, fuck that. Look up the supernatural version of the mark of Cain. Because in Supernatural, Cain is played by Timothy Odmanson, who is great, and I love him. Which, I think about it, we've actually had a good bunch of Cains so far. We've got David Cross, played by Cain. No, I'm sorry. Cain, played by David Cross. Cain, played by Timothy Odmanson. Cain, played by Cain, the wrestler / libertarian mayor. But yeah, Mark of Cain, look it up. Look up the Supernatural one instead. It's much cooler. Never comes into play in our movie here. But it does happen. He gets struck in the head with a bolt of lightning. He's got this mark of Cain on his forehead the whole time, but they never say anything about it. I just know it because I'm insane. So our heroes end up on a boat between scenes and arrive at a town. We see that in the market outside of town, there's a slave auction happening. Of course, both Maya and Ima, our boys' crushes, as well as the great Kali, are being sold in the slave block. Apparently, the rest of the caveman were enslaved like literally the next day after Black and Cera left. Our two morons argue with one another while they try and talk to the girls about who is smarter, as Black claims this is all happening for a reason because he ate the fruit of knowledge of good and evil. They try to buy the girls freedom, but they don't understand the concept of money because they are, again, literal caveman, so that goes nowhere fast. Cain immediately sells them out, and they get enslaved too because I guess Cain's just a dick. Well, I guess he's a murderer, the first murderer, so I suppose that's fair. Our little caveman tribe is reunited in slavery. As the slave caravan is crossing the desert, a group of soldiers show up and captures all the slaves for themselves, though Black and Cera escape. I gotta feel like you could have compressed this whole fucking thing into just 5... You could have just shaved off 5 minutes of movie by compressing this into one fucking scene, but I don't understand the point of this, so whatever. Fuck it. Jesus.
How long was the movie? Like hour and a half?
It was an hour and a half. It was not that long, but you could have cut a lot of fluff.
Yeah, and they probably had to fill shit out.
I'll get into it later, but like you could have cut half this movie and not missed much. Like plot-wise, not missed much. Ooh. And it's this half. But we see the commander of this army that attacked the caravan is led by Vinnie Jones. If you don't know who Vinnie Jones is, I'm not surprised. He played Gareth in Gallivant. I fucking love Gallivant, and Gareth is pretty much the best part, just alongside of, god damn it, Timothy Odmanson again. The degrees of separation in this movie are all over the place because pretty much everybody is some level of respected actress or actor. It's wild.
You got like a conspiracy theory board with like string going everywhere.
It's kind of like 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, but every degree is delightful. It's really strange. So Vinny's role here is very small in the film overall, but it's nice to see him get some work pre-Gallivant, and the excellent, excellent voice on this man. It's gruff but beautiful. I wish he sang in this. And Isaac, I meant to show you this before we started, but I'm going to ask you to pipe in here 10 seconds of one of the songs I'm going to send you, which I think we should be fine to not get arrested for just a couple seconds of the song from Gallivant.
We can do that.
But
Fair
yeah,
use.
We're going to listen to that right now.
The sky ball's doing its shine thing. The moving air is so sweet. This flopsy carnival band thing smells as pretty as meat.
Go watch Gallivant. It's dumb but amazing. So Black and Cera are looking over the soldiers in the enslaved tribe. We learn that these soldiers are sodomites. And before you go there, because I assure you the movie will go there, just save it.
All right.
Sodomy is one of those words that has a lot of definitions. Technically, oral sex is sodomy, but the now accepted definition we go by is that sodomy equals anal sex, which is technically still illegal in some places of the world, including the United States. But we're not getting political today, because there's just too much religious history shit to go through to talk about politics, too.
Oh, God.
Anyway, the term sodomy originates from, you guessed it, a Bible story. And if you haven't heard this one, it's a bit of a doozy.
I would say.
So, there's 2 cities, and they're both in this movie. Gomorrah doesn't come up, but the twin cities of Sodom and Gomorrah are so fucking evil because of all the sodomy that God has decided that he's going to just burn these cities down because he's like, this project has gone over budget and I can't take it anymore. I'm just going to burn it down. There's one good guy in the city by the name of Lot, and God sends 2 angels that are like, yo, man, we're going to fucking save your family. You got to roll out of this bitch when we give you the word. But like everybody in Sodom sees the angels come in. So they knock on Lot's door, this whole mob of people. This is in the Bible. I'm funnying it up, but this is in the Bible.
This isn't like argued about either, like
No.
the Lilith story.
This is like the Lilith story is not in the Bible; it's in biblical texts. Well, that's a whole fucking
This is
can of
straight
worms.
up every version of the Bible you find. The Sodom and Gomorrah is in it.
Yes. So this mob of people in Sodom rolls up and we're like, "Yo, those angels are hot. Give them to us to rape." Not a joke.
In the butt.
In the butt. Well, they're going to sodomize them. But believe it or not, this is where the term comes from. And Lot is like, "Look, guys, I think it's a bad form to rape angels. How about you rape my daughters instead?"
Yeah.
But they're like, no, angels are nothing. So then, that's kind of it, because then Lot leaves and God destroys it. And then this part doesn't really matter to our story so much, but I will finish it off, because why not? Let's just twist that knife a little more. As they're leaving, the angels tell him, like, "Yo, God says you cannot look at this city get destroyed, because that is proving that you're not ready to give it up. I'm a big God. You can't look at my big swinging dick. You can't look back at my city. That city's gone. I'm blowing it up. Fuck it." In my head, God's black, and if it's not in yours, then there's something wrong with you, clearly. But Lot's wife looks back at the city because she can't bear to part with it or some shit, or just, she wanted to see the cool explosion, because who doesn't want to look at cool explosions, and turns into a pillar of salt. And then, this is even less related, but I figure let's follow Lot to the end of it.
I was going to hope you were going to do this.
After the whole destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, which Gomorrah doesn't seem to do anything. I guess it also sucks. We never get a POV in Gomorrah. We don't see Tyrion in Gomorrah banging Gomorran whores.
Well, it's like St. Paul. It's the lesser of the Twin Cities.
Yeah, exactly. So, they're living. Lot and his two daughters are living in caves, and the daughters are like, "Well, we really want Lot's line to." There's other humans. Like, the world is a bit populated at this point. They're like, "We want the line to continue." So the older sister's like, "Let's get Dad hammered, and I'm gonna fuck him, and then I'll get pregnant with his son." And that happens. And then the next night, they're like, "Okay, let's do it again, but now it's your turn." Younger sister. So
Good
then,
stuff.
Lot gets his daughters pregnant, and the line continues. And that's all
That's the important
in
thing.
the Bible. Just so in case you weren't aware, I'm not even trying to make a statement. Just so you know, it's not all Jesus and the fishes and loaves. Like, the Old Testament's got some wacky shit, and you should really read it. It's fucking wild. Anyway, I am gonna lose real life friends I have who are Christians at this point.
Hey, you're just describing it.
Yeah, but anyway,
accurately.
Keep the town of Sodom in your keep that story in your head, because Sodom is basically the plot of the second half of this movie. Also, again, year one and Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll get to it. While wandering through the desert, our two heroes come across, to continue, Abraham and Isaac.
Right. Of
Now,
course.
These two are religious historical figures, again. Now, Abraham has a lot to play in Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. I grew up with Christianity, so I can only really comment on that, on any knowledge with that. And again, yes, you may be confused as to why Cain and Isaac and Abraham and the city of Sodom and cavemen are all in the same movie. To my eternal question of what year is it? But like I said, we'll get to it at the end. So anyway, the story I'm about to see unfold, I'm going to really blow past this one quickly. Isaac and Abraham, they're Hebrews, which are basically Jews, kind of, sort of, not the same, but yes.
Old-timey Jews.
Yeah, they're prehistoric Jews, basically. I mean, that's kind of what it is. Kind of.
Jurassic Jews.
It's clever, L'chaim. So yeah, but anyway, they're Hebrews. And the long and short of the story that matters here is that God once again gets it into his head, like, I haven't done anything fucked up in the last 5 minutes. Let me test my boy Abraham's faith here. And he makes Abraham take his son Isaac up to a mountain, and it says, "You got to sacrifice Isaac to prove that I'm the best God," or whatever. I mean, I know that's not what it is. I'm funnying it up and also offending it up, I suppose. But that's kind of what it is. He just doesn't say, like, I want to test your faith and see if you love me enough to kill your own son. And as he's about to do it, God is like, "Hey, I'm really glad you were about to do that, but I just realized this is fucked up, so here's a goat, sacrifice that instead."
Being named Isaac, I heard that Bible story as a very young lad, and I'm sure it was used to keep me in line.
I'm not going to lie. I know your name is Isaac, but I did not put that together in my head until literally you just said it.
Was uncomfortable hearing that Bible story as a youngin'.
Yeah. So, who was the goat that took your sacrifice instead? Was that your little brother, Isaac?
Yes. Oh my god. Lovely.
Yeah, I guess I should have let you tell that story. You probably tell it better.
I do know it well. You get into the whole Knight of Faith Kierkegaard thing, but really, like, the whole point is that you have so much faith that you're willing to do anything for God. What's to differentiate that from the crazy people who murder everyone and say they're doing it because God told them? Religion's shit. Anyway.
The Old Testament is pretty fucked. It's fucking wild, man.
Oh,
but anyway, we're just defending a whole generation of people. So anyway, in this movie, Isaac is played by Christopher Mintz-Plasse, who was McLovin from Superbad. And I'm getting tired of talking about actors, and I don't know him very well, so that's all you're getting. He was also in Role Models, which he's fine, I guess. Abraham is played by Hank Azaria, who is pretty much half the voices in The Simpsons.
Right, yeah.
And in fact, Abraham's voice is basically just the sea captain, whose name I can't recall, but you probably know.
I think it's just the sea captain. I don't think he has a name.
Then it's it's half the sea captain and half Chief Wiggum. So marry those in your head, and that's Abraham's voice.
Oh, man, that's another, like, top and bottom I just want to see.
And Abraham, like, Hank Azaria is great, and he's like, he hits the words so well. Like, the way he says God, he just, like, leans.
Yeah.
I said it, I sounded demonic when I say it, but I can't do Hank Azaria. Bless him. He's the voice of a generation.
Very talented man.
Very talented. And again, like, and he was fine in that. Abraham's role is very small in this movie, but, like, what is happening? There's just nothing here. Like, what is this? It's stupid. Black manages to convince Abraham that he was sent by God not to sacrifice Isaac. Abraham tells him that his people are the Hebrews and they're not very good at sports. I don't know if that's supposed to be a joke of some kind. I really couldn't be bothered to figure it out.
I think that's kind of a stereotype. Young adolescent Jews usually aren't particularly good at sports, and there's very few famous Jewish people who are good at sports, i.e. Sandy Koufax, the pitcher for the Dodgers.
I guess it's a good thing I didn't know that thing, because I didn't get it. I didn't get that was supposed to be some kind of slur.
It's a thing.
Whatever. The whole point of this scene is to lead into 3 points. The Hebrews pray for a really long time. Abraham warns them not to go to Sodom and Gomorrah because they're full of whores and God is going to destroy the entire city. Their line, not mine. And Abraham suddenly has a revelation in which they all need to get circumcised by him. As Black and Cera leave the city in the night, they hear Isaac screaming as he gets circumcised. Something you do not share, so you did not have to experience.
I proudly wear my foreskin as a man named Isaac.
It's a badge of honor on your dick sleeve.
Yeah, a little.
I guess you wear a dick
dangly,
sleeve on your dick sleeve. Yep, all right.
A little dangly badge.
Third nipple.
However, you know, like 5% of people have a third nipple?
That's a high percentage.
I know. That's 1 in 20. I guess if you have a third nipple, you don't go around shirtless a lot, but I've never seen a third nipple. You think I would have?
What have I? Well, I don't think
Unless
we've
you're hiding something from me. No, I've seen you shirtless.
You've seen
times.
me.
I just haven't seen your dick.
You've seen
Unless
everything
you
but my dick and balls. You may have even seen an errant ball, but
an errant ball.
Yeah, this is
just like the real hard ones to get to in Pong.
This is just quality content. I am just so glad that everyone I know listens to this now. Thank God it's not it's most people I don't know. Oh Lord. So, yeah. Eventually, however, newly circumcised Isaac shows up to join them and help them get into Sodom, as he and his friends allegedly sneak in there to get drunk and laid away from the watchful eyes of foreskin happy Abraham. So as they try to get in, Black and Cera are immediately captured and Isaac ditches them. Much like how our regular life is going to go as the police are bearing down on us, you will ditch me and leave me to my fate, which I honestly respect and hope you do, and live a happy life without me. They're getting harassed by the guards when Vinnie Jones, with a gruff, beautiful voice, shows up to give them a dressing down. Because this is, of course, the city of Sodom. We have a large variety of jokes that all involve things getting shoved up the ass, forcibly.
Right.
As such, Vinnie Jones threatens to shove a stick covered in nails up the ass of Jack Black. And we see it. Full insertion at anything. No cries.
Oh, nice. Lots of blood?
No.
In your early days of the internet, did you ever see the video of a man shattering a glass Coke bottle in his anus?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's good times.
No, that haunts me. No, in fact, it turns out Cain is here and is now a guard in Sodom, and rescues them, sort of, by vouching for them being cool. He takes them around the city, and they sort of forgive him for enslaving him, but are also kind of terrified of him because he's a psychopath. Across the street of a food stall, a woman is very seductively eating a banana as Black tries to seductively eat a piece of meat on a stick. It's all very unfunny and really comes out of nowhere, and Jack Black was just like, hey, guys, I can eat this meat in a stick real funny while this lady sucks a banana like it's a cock.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's how it went down.
And I'm sure Harold is just like, yeah, that's great, Jack. That's great.
He's probably hacking up a tumor from his lung.
He's looking at his watch like, I need like an hour more plot. I keep wanting to say Cena. Kane convinces them to join the guard, and they do, since they do whatever Kane says, and also that's what the plot has decided, and also there's like nothing else going on, so who cares? Next morning in the guard line, we see their two heroes are too stupid to line up properly and do any of the typical soldier stuff. Kane takes them around and tells them what to do, which is basically just be awful and cut the hands and lips off of beggars and thieves. Isaac, I have a question for you. What's the plot of this movie so far?
I don't know.
That's because there isn't one. The plot is literally about to start.
Jesus. So
Now,
it's just shtick and biblical jokes?
There's the vague plot of them saving Maya and Ina, but, like, they haven't done anything about that since the second they saw the girls and, like, lost the guards. They were like, we're going to Sodom. We're going to save the girls. But then, like, immediately forget once they get to Sodom. But even then, that is like a vague plot because it's like they weren't really invested in that. It was just a thing to do because they had nothing else to do. So
too much shtick, not enough plot.
We cut to the palace in Sodom. I do like saying the word Sodom. It's got good mouthfeel. It's like cube. Sodom. Cube.
Sodomy, Sodom you, Sodom us.
Sodom me, Sodom you. That doesn't work. The royal soothsayer or meteorologist or whatever tells the king there's potential for riots in the streets as it's been a long time without rain. The king kind of brushes this off. The king, by the way, is played by Xander Berkeley, an actor who has appeared in many roles, but I mention him only for his turn in The Booth at the End, a little Hulu show that I found I immensely enjoyed. He is nothing in this movie, but I looked him up and I'm like, oh, hey, that Booth at the End, I love that guy. Whatever. The king calls for the high priest to read the entrails of a sheep. This priest is played by Oliver Platt. Again, one of those people who has been in 5 million things. You've probably seen him before at least once. This movie is laden down by the heavy weight of its talent. It's mind-boggling.
It really is so many people.
We're like halfway. We're halfway done with people. I don't know Oliver Platt from a whole lot, but he's been nominated for like 8 different awards, and it's like a Tony, a Grammy, not a Grammy, like 2 Oscars, 4 the Screen Actor Guild. Like, he's been nominated for many different prestigious awards. So he's a big deal, but I don't know him very well. He mentions that the sheep's rectum is totally destroyed, but as this is Sodom, that's not unusual for a sheep of this region, which at least got me a half chuckle.
Fair enough.
That was something. Platt plays the high priest as a stereotypical gay character with a sort of falsetto voice and eye makeup. We'll see how that progresses. Ultimately, the signs of the sheep entrails mean nothing. Platt, by the way, has this ridiculous, gigantic crown that is so obviously made of cheap plastic, I can't tell if that's supposed to be the joke. But I guess it might be. Back to our heroes. David Cross gives us his best line of the whole show, movie, I guess, where he says, you know what the best part of Sodom? The sodomy. Which is low-hanging fruit, but hey, a starving man ain't going to turn up his nose at the lowest of fruit.
And I'm sure he delivered it with very good timing. That's the kind of joke that turns on timing.
I didn't laugh at it, or I don't think I even smiled at it, but I was like, yeah, that's a good line. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's David Cross, and he's so sad, because he's so funny, but he gave me nothing here. So everyone in the town drops to their bellies as the princess is carried by on a palanquin. The princess is played by Olivia Wilde, who I know best as 13 from House, but is in many, many, many things, and is also very, very talented. And if I'm not mistaken, she holds a special place in your heart, doesn't she? I feel like you've talked about her before.
I mean, she was one of my very attractive ladies that I made note of.
That's not what I thought, but that sounds like, I can see you having like a cable access show on at 12:30 at night, and you're like, welcome to Isaac's very attractive ladies I've taken note of. Today, Olivia Wilde. This is a picture of her, and you just sit there, like staring at the camera, like half smiling. Just a static picture of Olivia Wilde. You're there in a robe, you've got like a snifter of brandy, you're just like, yeah, right, aren't I? Just half an hour of that, just you like nodding and winking to the camera while a static picture of Olivia Wilde. Not a flattering picture either. I've planned this whole show for you. I know your whole career.
That works for me. What else? What were you thinking for Olivia Wilde?
She's in House.
Oh, okay.
She's attractive. I mean, she's in House.
But you thought I had a relationship with her?
I thought she was like one of those actresses you... No, I don't mean like you dated her in high school. I mean, I thought she was like one of those actresses you really liked.
Kinda, I guess. She's good.
I mean, I could like I said, I very easily be wrong. I just, in my head, I'm like, oh, doesn't Isaac really like her or something? I don't know.
Yeah, house and boobies and movies that I haven't seen.
We're gonna get arrested.
What?
Look, I wasn't trying to set you up for something. I just legitimately thought she was like, I don't know, whatever. Apparently I'm wrong. Christ.
She's fine. In more than one way.
All right, yep. I cannot wait to see this cable access channel show. Right after the KKK has their show. The thing that used to be on when I was a kid on my local cable access channel. Fucking wild. Wild God. Shit. Yeah, I live in the worst place. Anyway, Black kind of gives the princess the eyebrows, and she looks vaguely intrigued. Kane explains that Black has no chance with her, but he seems determined, regardless, to get into her, I don't know, royal trousers? I got nothing funny here. A crowd is gathering at the temple, and our heroes go for a look. We see the princess isn't eating in solidarity for the peasants who are going hungry in the streets due to her parents' dismay. There's the famine and because of the drought, and so she's not eating in protest. Black catches the princess' eye again and does some shtick to try and impress her, and it's all incredibly unfunny. Kane tells the boys that the high priest will pick a virgin. We then see Oliver Platt have incredibly dull, boring sex as a large, hairy man grunting in front of a completely silent crowd with no music for like 20 minutes. And it turns out this was just a sex tape I was handed accidentally. Hang on, let me go rent your one for real. Whoopsie poopsie. No, a virgin is getting chosen to sacrifice to appease the gods. Black asks some dude in the audience what's up about this, but doesn't get a straight answer as the guy is irritated that he's getting distracted from the virgin sacrifice. I bring this up only because I am 100,000% positive that I recognize this actor and I know his voice, but I could not nail down who it was, and I refuse to look because I looked up literally every other actor in this movie. But if anyone knows, let me know because it's driving me crazy.
It's Leonardo DiCaprio, Larry.
Oh, of course. How silly of me. Fucking moron. So the virgin gets chosen and thrown to a pit of fire and nothing comes of it. After the sacrifice, Black and Cera get summoned to the palace by the princess and meet the palace eunuch, played by Kyle Gass. He is Jack Black's band partner in Tenacious D, and I'm very tired. Very, very tired. That night, Black gets summoned to the palace orgy. Obviously, this is a PG-13 movie, so we don't see anything too untowards. You know, just a little bit of DP, that's about it. Obviously, Black makes a fool of himself dancing. The woman who has been escorting him throughout this entire scene that I failed to mention because I forgot she was important, it was wearing a veil and turns out to have been Maya this whole time, which is his love interest, if you recall. Apparently they got sold into slavery here because they just keep getting sold wherever the fucking boys are. So Maya is pissed off that Black is more interested in going to the party and how he was dressed. 2 points I skipped because I could not give a fuck. And tells him spitefully that the princess has crabs as she has guessed Black's intentions to boik the princess. So Maya storms off to continue being a slave. Black wanders around the party, poking one of the statues in the titty, who slaps him, revealing that it's a living woman painted gold. Black bumps into a man with eyeliner and a wig, and Black is sort of skeeved out. So, hey, that's great. Let's get that little knife twist in there, too. Just get a little trans hate in there, too. That's great. Love that. Fucking stupid. We see that Cera is posing as a statue as well. Black is, as usual, oblivious to his friend's suffering, as he has been the entire movie. The two of them spy Ema, who is getting fondled by Vinnie Jones, the gruff, beautiful voice man. She chucks a plate of grapes at him and is about to get smacked for her insolence when Black trundles in and makes a scene by yelling at her to get more wine like a fat dumbass, and I hate him, and I hate this, and this whole thing is a goddamn waste of my time. I quit. I'm tendering my resignation. This is my swan song.
Is it a 2 weeks notice? You're going to have to do your next movie, though, right?
Fuck. It's always how they get you.
That's right.
All right. So the princess summons Black and Cera, and Ina awkwardly... Wait, what? Okay, the princess... I forgot a comma. And that, yes, which I wish you could see just how many spelling errors are on this page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25,
Jesus. I didn't know you could count that high.
39. Now, in fairness, some of them are them correcting Cera, which is a name, but still. 39, just on one single page of dialogue here.
Now, is that a combination of rage typing and gorilla fingers?
Yeah, it's not even rage typing. I just type super fast, and I know what my words are supposed to be, usually, so I don't bother to correct it. But I might have to send you clip of this because I'm realizing now that it is fucking gibberish to any other human being besides me. The princess summons Black, and Cera and Ina awkwardly flirt, which sucks, and I'm reminded that, again, that I hate Michael Cera. I'd forgotten for a minute. Eventually, he gets summoned over by High Priest Oliver Platt, who is shirtless, and we see that he is an incredibly, obscenely hairy man. We get I hesitate to call it a scene here, where Platt makes Cera rub him with oil all over his hairy chest, while he groans and mutters with ecstasy, and I don't need this, and I'm deciding to skip the rest of it.
Ooh.
Black meets the princess, who makes as though she's interested in banging him, and he is pretty into it. She says he finds him interesting and blathers on about how him not bowing to her that morning while she was in the palanquin means that he is chosen by the gods to perform some miracle. Again, it's played off as she's going to sleep with him, but she instead leads him away. We cut to the High Priest and Michael Cera, who are walking around. They walk by a set of doors the priest describes as the holiest of holies, the earthly domain of the gods. Basically, it's a sealed room that is so sacred, if anyone enters it, they immediately die. Cera asks, in what I'm going to call the funniest joke he has ever made. After a beat of silence, when fucking what's-his-name says that it's if you go in there, you immediately die. There's like a minute of silence, like a second of silence, and Cera asks, well, who cleans it? And I actually laughed out loud at that. But the laughter died on my lips when it became a whole back and forth bit of what if a fly gets in? How is it built? How long did the builders have to get out? They ruined what was a great line.
That's a shame.
It figures that for 1 second I was like, hey, Michael Cera, that's a solid joke, and then it gets ruined.
There's certain jokes you can run into the ground, a lot of stuff from the movie Airplane, and there's certain jokes that you just need to drop and walk away from.
Yep. It was great. The "Who cleans it" line was great. I liked that, but nope, ruined it. So the high priest, I cannot say those two words together. High Priest leads him away for more oil rubbing, which I was kidding, as Oliver Wilde and Black enter the scene. Olivia Wilde and Black enter the scene, where she tells him she wants him to enter the holiest of holies. Isaac, what does he assume she means?
Her sex hole.
You are correct. Congratulations.
Mm-hmm. I've heard it's a nice one on her.
You've heard, huh? Just reading that in Pussy Quarterly. Oh, man.
No, it was Parade magazine, I think.
God, I'm
Marilyn
sorry.
Vos-Savant had a column on, like, the best pussies.
We are going to get fired from our own podcast. I'm going to fire myself. So she says because he's special or whatever, he'll definitely survive this whole room where you get turned into a pillar of light when you walk in there immediately. And he can plead with the gods to end the drought. I said, famine, that's wrong. So he goes in there after some waffling, and sure enough, he doesn't die. Because religion's fake. That's in the context of this movie. No, religion's not fake because Cain gets lightning bolted in the head. Never mind. Religion's technically real in the movie. Inside the holiest of holies, we see that Cera is there, hiding from the high priest because his hands are currently covered in high priest hair. He does make a point to mention it's not all from his chest, so I guess he rubbed his balls or whatever.
Yay.
The two launch into an argument with Black wondering why Cera wasn't fried by the gods because Black is so fucking special all the goddamn time. Cera basically tells him that Black is a shitty friend and has an inflated sense of ego that hasn't done anything good for anyone. Black denies all this and continues to insist he's so special. Black says some kind of prayer that's unfunny and egotistical, and then they leave after Cera complains whinily at him and says God probably doesn't exist. They did see a man get struck in the head with a lightning bolt, so God definitely exists, but I'm fucked to the tits, don't care anymore.
Fuck to the tits.
Yeah. That line is even funnier when you imagine Jimmy Stewart saying it. So this whole temple scene argument is long and rambling, and oh my God, just end my fucking suffering, please. When the two dumbasses leave the temple, they are immediately arrested as Cain has turned on them yet again. Who could have guessed?
Jeez.
They get thrown in jail. Michael Cera's hung upside down and ends up pissing on himself into his own mouth, and they start having what is basically the same argument. Oh my God.
Filler.
Moving on. Next day, they are led to the square where they are set to be stoned to death. Black tries to bamboozle the crowd into having only one person stone them to death. It goes on way too long. He picks the eunuch, who is his band partner, Kyle Gass, thinking he wouldn't throw very hard. And the eunuch responds by saying, I'll show you, and throwing his severed ball at Black's face. Which I suppose is comedy. Then a kid starts throwing a rock at Cera's head, which I guess is supposed to be funny or something. Black tries to con his way out of the situation with the king by asking why he didn't die in the holiest of holies, saying that he was chosen by the gods because if you set foot in there, you're supposed to die instantly. The crowd immediately sides with him, demanding the king spare the chosen one. Like, it literally took a half a second for them to turn. The king's counselor says it would be bad press if Black and Cera are publicly executed, so instead he has them this sentence is just not even English. Cosnifid? I don't know what that's supposed to be. To performing hard labor and slavery forever. I don't know what that word. I genuinely don't know what that's supposed to be.
It's how language evolves, Larry.
I think this is devolution if I've ever seen it. At the slave camp, Cera runs into Paul Scheer, famous actor and husband of Maya's actress June Diane Raphael, both of whom host that podcast that's definitely way better than this one. You should probably just listen to that instead.
Shut up, you.
Just a brief cameo as a slave who volunteers for his work because he enjoys it so much. I like Scheer, but again, this was nothing. The weight of this talent in this movie is staggering. It's ridiculous. Black comes across the great Kali again, who is a slave here now, because what are we doing? What am I doing? What are you doing? What's happening? Black then gets whipped a bunch, which is about the only part of this movie I actually enjoyed. Eventually, all the slaves get summoned with the citizens to the square for another sacrifice. Turns out Kane has ratted out Ina and Maya as Black's chums, so there are going to be sacrifices. The king is also tired of the princess as well. Apparently she's his stepdaughter, which never mattered. And she's also going to get sacrificed. The crowd seems to hate this, but it's going to happen anyway. Great Khali has a sudden face turn, which is a thing that never happened it happened in wrestling all the time, what am I saying? And decides to help Black, I guess to save Maya, whom they both lust after. I would say love, but that would be categorically unfair to Maya. Black ends up on a cart, comedically rolling and slapsticking through various scaffolds to get down to the square, causing a ruckus and knocking over a big chunk of scaffold in the process. Cera uses this as a moment to begin the revolution, which apparently has been brewing in the background, in Black's name, with one sentence, and the mob, which is more fickle than the mob at Alexandria, which is a deep-cut history joke for all you nerds out there, immediately just decide to revolt, like on a whim. Sarah's just like, the chosen one is here! Oh, I'm sorry, wait, that's Michael Cera. Oh, the chosen one's here. We should probably join him. Sorry. Sorry. I didn't mean it. Fucking jerk. Abraham and Isaac and the Hebrews show up for no reason, and to quote, cut some foreskins, and they have no other part in this, so just to get Hank Azaria one more paycheck. The king gets betrayed by beautiful, beautiful Vinnie Jones. Cera saves Ina, and the two of them fuck in a secluded corner after assuring her he isn't gay just because he rubbed the chest of the high priest. Christ. Speaking of, the high priest has Maya captive, and Black lamely swords fights his way towards her. The great Khali beats up Kane, a thing which has happened now both in this movie and in professional wrestling. You're welcome.
Well, that's good to know.
Vinnie Jones almost kills Black, but is kind of halfway saved by Cera, and Vinnie Jones is knocked into the crowd and murdered. Rest in peace, you tall, gorgeous, beautiful voiced man. The high priest is about to toss Maya into the flames, but Cena. I've got wrestling on them. I shouldn't have said the great Khali. Cera splashes him with oil, and he falls into the fire, instead telling Cera he always knew that Cera would break his heart. With the death of the high priest, the fight ends, and suddenly the rain begins. As everyone celebrates Jack Black for making this happen, even though Jack Black did literally nothing to start this in any way. Cera did all the hard work. Jack Black is taking the credit, the rain stops. So Black gives his wrap-up speech where he pretends to start with his ego bullshit again, but he sees the sad look on Michael Cera's face, which admittedly looks a lot like his normal face because he's just a sad, sad boy, and instead decides to tell the people to follow their own paths and not be led by stupid tradition, and everything good he has came from his friends. He says they're all the chosen ones, not just him, and the rain restarts. Our heroes all hug, and next day the princess has been crowned queen, so I guess they didn't take his speech to heart or anything, but I just don't care. I don't care.
You still need a hierarchy.
All of our surviving talented actors, and also Jack Black and Michael Cera, are gathered in the square as they all prep to leave. Maya and Black are now a couple and are heading to Egypt, while Cera and Ina are going back to the village as the leaders now. The two have a little final scene where they say goodbye and good luck. It's not funny or inspiring. I hate it, I hate you, and I'm so glad this is over. Oh my god.
Jesus. What was that movie?
I think this was my least, the review I had the least passion for. I really do.
How does Harold Ramis not have a semblance of story?
I don't know.
Groundhog Day, Ghostbuster.
This movie was nothing. It's just irritating. There was nothing infuriating. It wasn't even overly long. but it did seem to like take my entire natural life to get through. It didn't help that I wrote 10 pages, but like I said, I'm an insane person. The amount of talented actresses, and actors in this movie it's overwhelming, the amount of talent on screen. And the problem is, even though some of them are like really, really excellent and talented people, nobody shines. It's just the platform. This movie has nothing to offer. Like Jack Black and Michael Cera, who are, in my opinion, the least funny people in the entire cast. And take that for what it is. I'm not even saying they're terrible in this case, but in this cast of some really talented people, they're the two that shine the least, and they're the ones that get the most time. And they don't play off each other well. I know I'm biased in that regard, and I recognize, like I said, Jack Black at least has an energy that's present and he puts himself into, but they just drag this movie along like a ball and chain behind them. And the fact, too, the plot hinges on the fact that Jack Black's character thinks that he's so special, but, like, everything up until Sodom is just window dressing. The whole 45-minute beginning of this movie, they started as cavemen. You may have forgotten. I wouldn't blame you. I kind of did. But, like, we had this whole... They wander through fucking time and space, basically. And, like, then they get to Sodom, and it's like all the real plot happens in Sodom. This movie could have been just the last 45 minutes and maybe, like, 5 minutes of story before that to kind of introduce some of the people, and nothing would have changed. You get enough of an idea of Black's failings inside the city itself to get the fucking picture. Because that's the whole conceit of this plot, is that Jack Black thinks he's special, then at the end he learns he's not, and Michael Cera's kind of a wimp, and then at the end he's not. Like, you could have gotten that just from Sodom. The rest of this movie...
But you have to make all the Bible jokes.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because let's talk about the name. The name of this movie is Year One. Now, that's never referenced. There's not a movie where like, whoa, Jack Black is like, whoa, guys, it's Year One. It's nothing like that. But why is it called Year One? You may be wondering, and I figured this out. Why is it called Year One when you have all these biblical events that happen in order, kind of? I mean, you're skipping a lot. You're skipping Noah and Nebuchadnezzar and all that shit in the middle between these events. But like, Cain, in biblical history, Cain and the city of Sodom did not exist at the same time. Because Cain is like the fourth human, basically.
Right.
Fifth if you count Lilith. And like, Sodom happens way later comparatively.
And Isaac and Abraham is way after Sodom.
Exactly,
and all that.
right. So like, I figured it out. And it's that Harold Ramis didn't care and didn't have a name.
I would say that you're right.
He just slapped Year One on it. He did not have a name for this movie until literally the last scene. And he's like, holy shit, I forgot about a name. Much like how I forget to get your movies ready before we start recording sometimes.
You know, I'll give Harold Ramis the benefit of the doubt and say he had a good name, and the studio executives were like, nope, that's not going to sell. We're going to call it Year One.
Yeah, the name he thought of was like Bible Fuckers 2022 or something. I don't know. But yeah, no, it just... There is no, like, and that's probably a lot of quibbling on our part, because it's basically just a clip show of Bible stories with good actors that are playing very unfunnily together. Yeah. But, like, it's an odd choice to me to call it Year One and to have all this shit that's all out of the way.
And also, but even Year One, like, presumably...
would be the death of Christ.
No, I think the birth of Christ.
Isn't it AD? Isn't that, I know it's Anno Domini, but isn't that, like, after death, air quotes? I always assumed that that was the death of
No,
Christ.
I think the after death is just a complete misnomer.
Oh, really?
Because I'm pretty sure Year One is like Jesus' birth.
Okay. I actually didn't know, but I mean, it doesn't...
I don't really know.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be Adam and Eve. Because that's the year negative 4,000.
Right.
Or whatever.
I mean, that's BC. Again, this is complete... I mean, like, the Bible doesn't conform to those standards, really.
Right. It just doesn't make sense in any way,
no,
shape, or form.
No. I get the idea that it's... But, like... It's so strange to me, because, like, what's on the label of this soup can is Jack Black and Michael Cera as cavemen, which is the thing for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's like...
I think we'd see them in some loincloths and sandals or something.
It seems like this should have been a caveman movie, which I'm sure would have been no better.
Oh, right. No.
But, like, I don't know. I feel like the plot gets seized in a very weird direction very quickly, and it never, like, gets good or better or anything of the sort.
I bet they didn't want to advertise it was so religious, because I bet that people might turn away, or like a negative ad campaign against
I don't remember the trailer. I didn't look up the trailer. I don't know how the advertising and marketing was done for this movie, but...
I'm curious now, but interesting.
Yeah, I might watch it later. But yeah, so I really debated on what to give this movie, because both times I watched it, boy, I wish I could go back in time and I do that once. I swung between 1 and 3 several times at several points, which I guess in that case it makes sense to make it a 2. I would say it's probably 2.5, but I only want to use round numbers personally, so I'm going to stick with 2. It comes close to earning a 3 because there is nary a bad performance to be seen. Like, literally every character is like an actor or actress of note. Like, all of them. Like, there's none. There's maybe like one guard gets a scene who's like, and the great Kali's not much of a famous actor. And that'd be like one guy who gets like a line or two that's like, kind of a nobody. But like everybody else is like a big time star of some kind or at some point in their career or up and coming. And like, so it's hard to, I can't just give this, I hated this movie and I had no fun. But, like, it's really hard to give it a 1 just based on that alone because, like, god damn.
Yeah. Good performances and good comedic timing can pull...
That's the thing. There's none of that either.
Out of the toilet.
There's none of that either. Like I said, I didn't really... None of these people, like, they're good. The roles are solid, but nothing good. Like, they do fine. And I don't know, but it's... They do, like... I don't even know how to, like, phrase it. Because just nobody gives a good performance, but nobody gives a bad performance. Like it, but it's like it's very far from bad. All the actors and actresses for the most part, but none of them are funny. It's in a very weird spot in my head. And like I admitted, Cera was at his least Larry offensive that he's ever been, and Black,
which is a feat.
It is. Black at least put effort in, and since almost every single supporting character is some kind of recognizable and respected actor or actress, it was kind of easy to flirt with a 3 because it's solid as a rock in the performances regard. But the simple fact is, I just had zero fun. A smile and a chuckle at best, but no fun to be had. It's a 2, and that's a pity. This could have been a lot better with what was on display, with like the talent on board. Like it's a home run on paper, like without the script. Like you have all these people in a room. It's a fucking that is a out of the park grand slam, but it is terrible.
The analogy that comes to mind from your description, and I'm curious if you'd agree with it, is it's like you're very poor and you just have a few slices of stale bread that you have to eat, and you just think, well, at least it's not moldy.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, kind of.
It could be worse,
right?
It could be worse, but this is not good.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. There's nothing on it. You got no mayo, no mustard, nothing to put on it. It's just stale bread.
Just stale bread with mustard would be a 3.
It was barely substance. Barely anything. It really is a pity. Like, and again, because it's Harold Ramis, and
I know
I got a boner and a half for Ghostbusters and Groundhog Day. Like Groundhog Day genuinely might be in my top 5 movies of all time. I fucking love Groundhog Day with all my heart.
It's phenomenal. It's definitely, I'd say, in my top 10 for sure.
So, no, that's that. Yeah, this was a strange display, and I want to apologize for my lack of passion and my fucking rote repetition through the plot.
You're a little heated.
That was a slog.
Well, next week I'm doing whatever Melissa McCarthy thunder gun explodey nonsense, which I can't. I'm probably just gonna lay down in the rain and die. Next episode won't come out. But after that,
I saw the trailer for that in between, and
I know.
I don't feel bad for you because you suck, but I don't have Netflix pulled up.
Your next turn, 2 episodes from now, is a weird little movie that I saw as a youngin' and
a Ute
came across on Netflix. Had to look it up to make sure it was bad, because it's one of those movies I saw when I was like 6, and I'm like, I really don't know any. I couldn't evaluate it at all. It's bad. It's definitely regarded as bad. It has one of the most amazing, bizarre cameos ever, which I will just tease that at you. But you will be covering The Little Rascals, the 1994 film.
What? There's a 1994 version of The Little Rascals?
Yes, sir, there is.
Come on, I started the fucking movie. Why am I
that
so...
always
Why am I so dumb? Netflix is in the goddamn name of this show, and we still fuck it up.
Well, to be fair, their UI is not great.
What the bloody hell? Oh, Christ, I hate children.
Oh, you're going to be in for it. It's short, at least.
As Alfalfa tries to charm Darla, a group of pint-sized mischief makers land in all sorts of antics. Inspired by Hal Roach's Our Gang series? How's it not inspired by the fucking Little Rascals?
That might be what the series was actually called back in the day.
Oh,
And
okay.
Maybe. I'm guessing. I don't know for sure.
This movie appears to be exclusively children.
There's some adults. There's actually a few. There's some notable names.
Oh my
I'll give you some of the names. Mel Brooks is in it. Whoopi Goldberg's in it.
What?
Daryl Hannah, Reba McEntire, and one more individual I will leave as a little surprise for you, Larry.
What is happening? What are you?
But yeah, no, it's like
fucking on about?
98% children. You're gonna lose your mind.
Oh man, oh god, I truly and desperately despise children.
Yep, and they're really young too. Some of them are like 4 or 5.
Doesn't get much worse than that.
So stay tuned, everybody. A couple of weeks from now, Larry's going to be wading through a swimming pool full of children.
Boy, when you put it that way, I sure do sound like a villain.
I'm going to say I'm not sure if that's metaphorical or literal, but we might have to come back in 2 weeks to find that out.
Oh, by the way, speaking of, the H2O side episode is going to come eventually. I watched the entire series because, like I said, I had a whole weekend where I was recovering from the vaccine, and really only season 1's worth of goddamn, so that might be all I talk about because the other 2 seasons are a bunch of horse shit. But I did like the first season quite a bit. I do think it's a 6.
I'm still very upset with you.
Oh, don't worry.
As much
Season
as
2 and 3
you-
are pretty bad.
You won me over a little bit, but I'm so mad that you think it's a 6.
Yeah, I can't believe that's
fucker.
that's one of the only movies, fucking things in this podcast I actually like. I also can't believe I watched the whole thing and I'm eyeing up the sequel.
You're a sick man.
I
You're a sick
really am
goddamn
desperately
man.
sick. But yeah, we'll get to that eventually. It's hard to find some time right now, but it's on the back of my mind.
Yeah, summer stink. We're gonna definitely have some more
it's
bonus
coming. Summer
episodes
Stink
coming
is
up.
Coming. We got some stuff in the pipeline for you. It's gonna be great. I'm really excited.
Yep, right in the old sodomy hole.
Well, I mean that is there's something. Well, you know,
That is an accurate name for it.
yeah, you know. All right.
On that note, everybody,
All right,
we
wrap
are
it
the
up.
Pals of Netflix. We love you so much. Thank
Wrap it
you
up.
for listening. Good God bless you for making it through this. If you're religious and you get to see God after all this is over, put in a good word for us because we'll be burning in hell.
We need it. Boy, if that shit's real, I gotta make some deals with some devils or something. I don't know.
So, to make sure we can enjoy the most of our sinful little lives before we spend eternity in hellfire, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, send us an email, bowelsandnetflix@gmail.com. We're the only bowels in your life. You know it's true, baby. Rate and subscribe. Give us 5 stars. Set us to download. Tell your family, tell your friends. Kill your grandmother. Send her to hell. Take her inheritance. Use it to give us money. I don't know, man. Whatever you need. Don't actually kill your grandmother. It's a joke. Please don't. If the FBI is listening... It's the royal grandmother.
I just, man, I can't wait till you're a senator.
It's gonna happen.
You and Cardi B.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll do a presidential ticket. I could see being VP to her. I think that would work. I would balance the ticket.
God, I got nothing.
Oh man. Well, stay tuned next week for Melissa McCarthy's superhero Thunder Force smash out of her face. And then Larry's got the Little Rascals with a mystery cameo. I'm so excited.
It's not going to be as exciting as positive.
It's really brief, but I found it on YouTube, and it makes me so happy.
The best part is going to be when I totally blow over because I don't know actors and actresses at all.
Oh, you know this person.
Great. Hey, Isaac.
All right.
Great.
Yeah? You great?
Great.
You happy?
No, never once been happy, and I hate to start now.
Give it a try, like, right at the end.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, so you just say it once. It's like deathbed confession, deathbed happiness. Makes the whole thing worth it.
That's my favorite emo band.
Deathbed happiness.
Yeah, I don't care.
It's pretty good. Let's start a band. Summer of Stink. We're starting a band.
Sure, man. Whatever you say.
All right. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. We love you.
Smell you and your sodomy holes later. Yep, that tracks.
See, it's a good start to a song.